Okay, I hope not so noisy because here is so hot. I have to turn on the fan. All right. Okay, so now we go to the manual. All right. So we are talking about research, right? So I already briefly mentioned to you all. Let's say if you want to do on Abhidhamma, you need to read the books. Okay. Sorry, keyboard problem. Right. And then get the main points, all right? Main points or the main data from the books. Then you write on paper. Why you want to write a paper? Because sometimes when you use the computer, your mind will be disturbed by the computer things. This means that you have to find the font, find the page or whatever. But if you write on a piece of paper, it's just you, your mind, and especially a blank paper, you know. So if you write a piece of blank paper, your mind can flow, your idea can flow faster, and it's easy for you to see how one point can link to another point. This means that you need to make connection between the points, and in this way you can make some analysis. All right, so I will go through this main point first. Then after that, because when somebody read your article, they don't want to just read what is written from the books, because everybody can read the books. They want to know what is your analysis. All right, beside your ideas, they want to know how much can you analyze, how much do you really put the effort, and then they want to know your ideas, your feelings, and then your viewpoints. Okay, that's important. So this will come after you do the steps, the step number 1 and 2 and 3. And after that, you need to blend in. Okay, rearrange, or we call it use the word blend in. Blend means that you need to put the main idea, main points you get from the books, and put in together with your own ideas, feeling, and viewpoints. So we call it blend in. So this means that, for example, you say such and such and such. So you can say I agree or I don't agree. All right. So later we'll go through, and then to make it as a essay, you need to write some introduction. After that, when you put the point 1, 2, 3, 4, and you need to make some conclusion. All right. So for those who really want it traditional way, like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, you can write with your pen and pencil, or if you feel more comfortable working with computer, you can work with computer. Now, this is something that come here. All right. This is something what I learned from my university. We are talking about data source. Data source is where you get information. So it can divide to number 1 and number 2, right? Okay. Now, if you are writing on Abhidhamma, okay, let's say I'm going to give you, let's say your first assignment is about Abhidhamma and so on. So I think second assignment for those who want to write is easy. How to practice Abhidhamma in daily life. Okay. So if you have the essay question like this, okay, we call it the title, all right, for this second assignment. So if you got the title like this, then you need to find the source, all right? So the first primary data is, of course, Abhidhamma books, all right? But if we are talking about daily life and we have the word how to practice, this means that this practice refer to meditation, right? This practice refer to meditation, Abhidhamma refer to Abhidhamma, and daily life refer to maybe you can think it in terms like social, all right? So, or you can think it in terms of like your maybe your psychology or your mind issue, something like that. So that's how we analyze the sentence, not just on Abhidhamma, but you are talking on Vipassana and you're talking about daily life, okay? All right. So, or you want to talk about maybe if you are very concerned about the environment, okay, you can daily life maybe to do with environment and so on. Okay, so that's how we can. All right. So let's say we have the data, we need to find Vipassana or meditation. We need to have data on Abhidhamma, and we need to, if you are good at reading another book, you can read something about social or psychology, environment, all right? So that's our primary data on Abhidhamma books, also on the maybe Vipassana book. Also maybe on psychology book. Okay. And second data, right? Second data means it's something that support the primary data. For example, if you want to write something Abhidhamma, certainly you need to know lots of Pali terms. So you can have a like Pali dictionary, all right? So then all these are second data, Pali dictionary or maybe encyclopedia or whatever. So all these were very helpful. Okay. Okay, so far up to this point, anybody want to ask something? Okay, anybody want to ask something at this point?
Yes, Sayajit. On here,
Yes.
can I ask, please?
Yes.
Right. Because now we are talking about 2 assignments, right? So for first assignment, we have the primary data, secondary data, but do we need
Okay.
to really use the Pali dictionary for
Yeah,
assignment one?
because
I'm talking
it depends on how well you really want to interpret your source, you know, because
Oh.
some of the, for example, let's say for example, let's say you have the my Abhidhamma, okay? Sometimes you can
Yes.
Abhidhamma, you can just change it as higher doctrine, all right? Sometimes they call it what ultimate
Oh, I
teaching,
see,
you
I
know?
see.
Yeah.
Understand.
Then when you find the Pali dictionary, you find more meaning, all right? So we call it like second data, all right? Okay, let's say from the Abhidhamma, you only find Abhidhamma. What is Abhi and Dhamma, right? Abhi plus Dhamma, right?
Yes.
Maybe they were talking about their what 7 books, right?
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
They will
the
not talk
7
beyond like that. Psycho, how to spell it? Psycholo. Okay, psycho. I hope how to spell it?
PSYCHO
Or CHO. Yeah.
PSY.
Okay, okay, all right, psychology, all right. So now you can see that what is the primary data and what is the secondary data, all right? So you can find some Abhidhamma book, Vipassana book, and we are talking about practice. You also need some Samatha book, right?
Yes.
Okay, then it's clear. So this is called primary data, right? Now second data will be extra thing to help you, but all these extra thing we call it add on the colors. For example, let's say you buy a book. Of course, book you just need a pen. But if the book have a good label and then it has a good feel, and then you feel that oh, this is something that really worthwhile spend the money. You know. So second data is a secondary data makes the primary data more interesting. So we call it this is a add-on. Okay.
Okay. Understand.
Support in a way you call it the supporting data.
Okay.
Supporting evidence or data. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Now, how to get important data? Okay, so now as I mentioned just now, yes,
I got a question here.
Okay.
Go back to the title there. The title. Okay. How to practice Abhidhamma in daily life? You mean there's 2 parts of it? One is meditation, and the other is social and psychology. Can
yes.
Can Siale talk more about on the social and psychology environment? How do it apply?
Okay, maybe we come to it later because I still have some points to, okay, so we're gonna come back to that later, all right? Okay. Now we are talking about data source, all right? So let's say even though you want to write maybe 10 pages or 3 pages, same, you still need to find your data source. So how to get important data? You can think like now, okay, now this is the one Jet talking about psychology, social aspect, Dhamma. And we are talking about you need to contribute your own idea, right? Your own idea. So in this case, you can put your own story. Your own story is also data. It's of course you know your story, but people don't know your story. So you can share your experience. Like Jay, you go to the meditation center in Myanmar, and then how you feel there and how practice. You can put your own story. All right. So this is called your personal story. So this one actually, I think most people will be more interested to read because other things is quite same all over the world. But if you can write your own story, it's kind of like, we call it the bonus point, you know, for people who want to read the story. All right. Now, okay. Right. Now, so, okay, let's review something. All right. So you have the data source, primary data like just now, beside the Abhidhamma book. Okay, let me do it. Okay. So you can have a Vipassana, Samatha, okay, and so on. Second data would be Pali books, and maybe you can put like own story also. All right. Dictionary. Okay, now own idea, all right? So beside getting all this data, okay, you need to put your own idea. So your analysis, maybe your analysis or maybe your understanding. So it's something that you add on to the value of the book. So it makes it more interesting, right? And maybe sometimes you maybe like when you read a book, you agree with it or you disagree with it, right? So maybe people say, oh, Abhidhamma in daily life. Some you say, yes, it's easy to practice. Then you say, no, I cannot see Abhidhamma in daily life. You can put like this, all right? So where to write? You have the introduction, okay? Or you can leave the introduction until later, all right? Because now when you are writing your point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, when you write, actually at that time you are trying to digest also. So at that time, I think introduction and conclusion may be difficult for you. So we can just put in here. So maybe, okay, you can, so can leave the intro. Okay, because you need to digest the point. All right. Now, when you write something, it's better one paragraph have only one point. All right. And point 2, point 3, point 4, point 4. So you need to link all the points, okay, with the conjunction. All right. For example, let's say practice Abhidhamma in daily life. First one, you maybe first paragraph, you're going to define what is Abhidhamma. Second point, you're going to define Vipassana. Third point, you can define Samatha. Okay. Then you define daily life. Then maybe your own story. Okay. So like this, kind of like this. So you need to put a point like Abhidhamma, then you say how you're going to link the point 1 to point 2. You can say to practice, you can write to practice Abhidhamma, and then you can practice Vipassana. Then you can say beside the Vipassana, then it's like in addition to Vipassana, you can practice the Samatha. And then here you can say, here I like to share no, okay, so you can say here, you can say maybe Vipassana in daily life. Okay, so in this way, you point 1 you talk about Abhidhamma, point 2 you talk about how to practice Abhidhamma, that's mean Vipassana. Then beside the Vipassana, you point 3 you talk about Samatha. Then you talk about Vipassana in daily life. Of course, we also can practice Samatha in daily life, and then put a own story. All right. So it's important for you to link the point with conjunction. All right. And you need to link with the introduction and conclusion. All right. But here you cannot link it until you finish digesting everything. So after you finish digesting, then you know how to write the introduction and conclusion. All right. So come to this part. Any question?
Yes, Sayaji.
Mm.
On here. Okay, regards to the Abhidhamma to practice Vipassana in addition Samatha, can I do it the other way around? Like for instance, based on own experience.
Okay.
Actually, I started from Samatha first.
Okay.
Then only I go into Vipassana and can see the difference between the two practices. Is that okay?
Good.
Or I have to follow?
Sure. This is just example given by me, because I of course I start with Samatha, but actually I prefer Vipassana. All right. So that's why we say you can, when after you do the own story, you can get the data. Then you need to put your own idea. For example, like just now you tell us you prefer, you start with Samatha, or maybe you can put you prefer Abhidhamma, or you prefer Vipassana, or prefer the Samatha. All right, you can agree or disagree. Then it's make it more interesting. So every time we call it the, the cake. Everybody do the cake, but finally the one that make people interesting is the design on the top of cake, whether it's with the flower or whatever design, right? Yeah. Of course, all the cake are taste quite same. Okay. So now you all can see the idea already, right? So that's the purpose I say how you need to get the information from the books, get the main point, Then you need to make the connection between all the point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. But it's actually better rather than work on computer, write on piece of blank paper. It's really help your mind, the idea flow very fast. Because when you work with computer, you need to copy and paste, you need to move here, move there. So the thought cannot be continuous. So if you write on piece of blank paper, you just draw here, draw here, draw an arrow and so on. Okay, so let's see, can I do a drawing here? Let me see. I think it's not easy to draw. Okay, let me try. Let's see, do a drawing here. Okay, we do a blank screen here. Okay, let's say I'm going to write a Vipassana. So okay, I'm going to put maybe Abhidhamma. Okay, then I feel that I want to practice Abhidhamma or with the Vipassana and Samatha, or Vipassana and Samatha. Then I want to do it in my daily life. Okay. Then you have to think about what is Abhidhamma, all right? And what is Vipassana? What is Samatha, right? Then what is daily life? Then you can think it's in terms of like social things, okay? Maybe in terms of education, in terms of psychology, or maybe a philosophy like this. So you can draw it and then your idea can come, right? So for example, Vipassana. So, okay, so after that you have Vipassana. You talk about Vipassana means like 4 foundation of mindfulness, okay, or mindfulness. Right? Or Samatha. Samatha means jhana, or maybe something like this. So you can write. And when you read from the book, you can jot down the points and a piece of paper, okay, or a notebook or whatever. Okay. All right. So there's so far there's the main idea here. Okay. Now if no question, I will continue to some of this. Okay. Now, in daily life, all right, now we want to go deeper. Of course, we are talking about Abhidhamma, all right? So you can find the books in Abhidhamma, all right? So let's see, we are going to first topic here on Abhidhamma. Okay, now you notice that we have few topics here, so maybe we got a subtopic. We can make it as one paragraph, all right, Abhidhamma. So now, if to somebody, of course, like you all Buddhists, we all Buddhists, we know what Abhidhamma, but to somebody who don't understand Abhidhamma, you need to explain to them. How to explain? We call it, I think you all call it 4Q, something like that. Why? Right? You can put it like how or what. What is Abhidhamma? When? How? Why? What's another question? Where? All right. So something like that. Okay. What is Abhidhamma? Okay. Abhidhamma is Abhi and Dhamma. Or when? When is Abhidhamma? Maybe say during the Buddha's time. How? How maybe talking about how to practice Abhidhamma. Why Abhidhamma is important. All right. Then you can read the book. And where is Abhidhamma? Means there's 7 books. Okay. So you can ask yourself this kind of question, then you have plenty of things to write, right? So let's say Abhidhamma practice, okay? Same question. What is a practice? Okay, maybe you're talking about Samatha and Vipassana. So when do you practice? Every moment. So this link with the daily life already. How do you practice? Like maybe 4 foundation of mindfulness on your body. Maybe taking the object or something like that. And why do you practice? Why? Okay, why do you practice Abhidhamma, or why do you practice Vipassana? So you want to get a purity of mind. And where do you practice? Okay, you say every day. So by this kind of question, you link already to your topic. Every moment, every day. So this already linked to your topic, that is daily life. Sometimes when you read all this, you still need to go on and go on, keep on pointing back to your topic, because if you don't point back to your topic, then after a while you might talk about something else is not in your topic, or we say you how to call it the word, you move away from the topic. It's also possible, so that's how. Okay, So topic Abhidhamma, right? Practice. And then talking about daily life. All right. Now I already mentioned every moment, every day as a daily life. Now you can define what is daily life. Like we say in meditation retreat, daily life means that beyond the sitting, beyond the walking, you have the we call it daily activities. This is one of the definition, right? So, and then you can write something, all right? So the main thing is, if you notice that, is how well do we grasp the topic, okay? How well do we really grasp this topic? If you don't grasp this topic well, you find that you have nothing to write, all right? Or when you write something, it might not come out as nice as what you want, all right? So, okay, next question. Anybody got a question to ask?
Sayaji, can we include some charts in there? Of course, the charts is such extract from somewhere lah.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay.
Just to give
Yeah,
some
yes.
example lah, huh?
Yeah, you can, we call it how you call it? You can make your writing interesting. How can you make it interesting? All right. Yes, you can put in the charts. Okay. Diagram, right? Any diagram or any picture. Sometimes
Yes.
especially if you are going to teach to children or young children, picture are more important than words, right? Okay. And of course, like we say, your own story. Your own story. Okay. Sorry. Sometimes the keyboard problem. Okay, your own story. Right? So, okay, now, so we already go to point 1, point 2, point 3. Okay. Now we're talking about limit, how much to write or how less to write. All right. So that's why it's very important. So before you're writing, I will say, okay, we're talking about before start to write, okay? To write, okay. You need to know how many pages. This is what I tell you all, how many pages. If you're going to write 3 pages or if you're going to write 50 pages, it's different. The way in terms of data collection, in terms of analysis. So before you start to write, you must make sure how much is the pages. And before that, you also need to know like some of the things, what is allowable, okay? What is not allowable? Like just now, you can put the charts is allowable. What is not allowable? What is not allowable, for example, let's say if you are studying Theravada, okay? If you are studying Theravada, of course, we prefer you to write more Theravada, okay? We don't want you to write so much on Mahayana because Mahayana, they have their own teaching. And then since you are going to do Theravada Abhidhamma, so prefer you to write Theravada Abhidhamma rather than Mahayana Abhidhamma. So this is talking about what is not allowable. So you need to know the pages, what is allowable. And then like now, you know the flow idea. So maybe you need to know the current trend, all right? Okay, because if you are going to write something and then your writing should be quite interesting for people to read. So if you're going to write something, it's only text and something you're talking about 2,500 years ago, and people cannot feel the sense of like connecting to you, so it will not be so interesting. So you can write like just now your own story, or you can use some modern terms instead of all the traditional things, traditional terms. Okay, choose some kind of like easy to read one, right? Okay, there's a 3 1. And then so okay, so maybe before when you take after writing, okay, after writing, what should you do? Okay, you need to proofreading, of course. If your writing has so many English mistake, right, and make sure a smoothness. So make sure your writing is smooth. This means that when people read, they can be able to read from page 1 and to page 10. So, and also you need to put in, we call it chunk, So because if even like 3 pages, people cannot finish 3 pages at one go. So this means that you can break your writing into a few blocks. Okay, like Vipassana, Abhidhamma, and Samatha. So then people can follow easily. Let's say they read somewhere, then they feel they want to stop, they go for toilet or go tea, then they come back, they can follow another block. Then they don't feel so tired. Because if your article or writing is 30 pages or 3 pages without any break in between, so people will feel tired. All right. So after that, it's also important, like my teacher always say, be a reader. Okay. So you read yourself, and then one day, the next day you'll be a editor. So you read as a reader, then after that you leave it, then, or maybe at first you be a editor, all right? So we call you be an editor first. So at first be editor, it means that you modify here, modify there, and then after a while you leave it aside for 1 day, 2 day, then you read again. Then you find that you don't like it because of what? It's too wordy, it's too not enough information, it's all like this, okay? So that's important. All right. So also important here. So there's one thing I want to mention here. Right. So on the note, okay, reference. All right. So it's important we call it give credits. This means that in the Microsoft Word, you can add in the reference, like this paragraph you get from which book. If you see, for those who are reading my PhD thesis, you see I put all the reference because it's needed to give credits to the original writer, right? So this means that at the end, when you, after writing, you also need to check your reference again, you know. So to make it is we call it solid proof writing. So that's why even like my PhD thesis, the one you see so far, the one I sent to you, 60 pages, but it's actually, I've been starting it to write since half a year ago. And now I'm still checking when, of course, when I go back to Malaysia, I stop for a while. There's a lot of things need to check, all this minor detail, but it makes your writing is very smooth, very easy to read, and also we call it trustworthy. So they call it trustworthy. All right. So okay, up to this point, any question?
Yes, Ji Ong here. For the reference, I did put down the reference. It's just that not to the paragraph. Is it okay? I mean, for assignment 1.
Yeah, of course, for assignment 1, because I didn't
Ah.
tell you, because I think it's too much to tell at one time, right? For your assignment 2, you also start to put the reference.
Okay.
Or you see my PhD things, right? You
Yes.
follow that, all right? You follow either Chicago format or whatever format, all right? Okay.
Okay.
Jade, any question?
No, Sergi, still digesting a lot of things to write.
Is this
Yeah,
not so a lot?
I haven't been doing writing so much already since retired.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
the mind a bit slow down because I'm actually going to direct practice is a current moment. So now I have to dig out the thinking mind again to go back into the memory and imagination again.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So basically, if you, this is we call it the guideline. So if you follow this guideline, basically is you will have a very, we call it clear how we call it, template lah. How should you do the things? All right. So this just the one I sent you over. I said it's just a main gist for you to understand. But this is talking about you need to know your primary data, secondary data. All right. Okay, and then how you get important data. All right. So this means that when you write this thing, you need to think, right? Beside the psychology, social aspect, Dhamma, personal story, maybe you think about education. Because what's the point of like what's the point of Buddha teaching this Abhidhamma? Is it for psychology only? Or sometimes they also talking about philosophy. Yeah, philosophy, okay. But it may be too much if you are not into the philosophy. But immediately it's talking about education, no? Education of what? You can think about it anyway. All right, so just the same thinking. So all right, so I will recap here. Okay, because primary data, secondary data, your own analysis. Okay, so now talking about own analysis, this is only possible when you read more Abhidhamma. Okay, so when you read more Abhidhamma, then you will have your own idea. You need to think about, yes, you accept it, or of course, I think most of us are very obedient. We will not disagree with the book, all right? But sometimes you can just think in another way, all right? So whatever you can think. And then you need to write introduction, and I will talk introduction and conclusion later. So one paragraph, one point, Abhidhamma, maybe Vipassana, maybe Samatha, or daily life, or own story. And you need to make sure what's the meaning of linking the point? So make sure it flows, all right? So, okay. So you need to smoothness means that you need to link between the points. This means that one paragraph to another one. And also need to link the introduction and must link with the conclusion. So you wrap up the things nicely, right? Okay. And okay, so yeah, okay. So all right. Okay, so this one title. Okay, so we are going to do another title. Let's do it together. All right, so let's see. I'm going to put it as a next page break. Okay, let's say I'm going to give you assignment 3. I think you say, all right, so assignment 3, so Abhidhamma and daily life. So like wholesome and unwholesome mental states. Okay? So this actually, when this title, this one will cover the chapter 2, I think chapter 2 of the most of the Abhidhamma book is talking about consciousness. All right. So by this title, you see awareness of the wholesome and wholesome mental state. So we are talking about like this mental state. Then you need to know we are talking about consciousness, right? So like this, you also talking about maybe some of the chapters on the mental factors, Cetasika. So you can read about this one. And this on the Chitta. This actually is a big topic and awareness. So now, okay, now we are going to think about that. How are we going to define this awareness? All right, so in what way we are going to analyze it? So of course, before you do the data collection, you need to analyze the title. Then there's a sense of direction how to write. Okay, awareness, how should we analyze it? Anybody want to say something? How about Jay?
It's knowing
Okay.
an object, a happening.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So you will define as knowing the object. Okay. So this means that you can write some more on the knowing, and you can write some more about different types of object, right? About the six sense basis, six sense objects, right or not?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, from this, and then you can write about six sense.
Six sense base and six sense object. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. Now, okay. Next person. How will you define this awareness? Next person. Now, because I share the screen, I cannot see anybody. I cannot see all the participants, all right? So, yes. Any contribution to this idea? How about all?
Yes, Saji. Knowing things as it is. I mean, yeah, you already said that knowing the object, six sense, spaces, and object.
Okay, so you say
can we
know
link
things as it is?
Yes.
As they are, okay. Right, okay.
As they are.
All right. Now, as they are, what's the meaning of as they are? You know? Yeah.
I mean,
okay, in Pali word, there's a one word called yada buddha. You know, yada. So let me see. Now, okay. So now finally I managed to get one keyboard. It takes some time to find this keyboard. It's a G board, but it's at least I'll be able to write the Pali. Okay. So now, okay. So if you're going to talk about English, knowing things as they are, then yada buddha. Then from here, you can find the Pali dictionary, right? You can find what's the meaning of yada, what's the meaning of buddha. Okay. So okay. Yeah. Next idea, somebody. Jay, maybe you call the name of other participant, other student. I cannot see their name.
Saji, I'd like to add on here.
Okay.
Is moment to moment. Moment to
moment. Okay. So you're talking about moment to moment. Okay. So now in this case, you can talk about moment. What is moment? All right. What is moment? Because some people
The
thought it's
present.
1 sec. Yeah, some people thought it's 1 second. Some people thought it's
Yeah.
1 minute. So is it exactly in Buddha time 1 second or 1 minute? And what, like we saw actually in Buddha time, we talk about one a blink of eyes. There are how many thousands of consciousness arises, right? Okay. All right. So next one. Okay, if you find it difficult topic, let's say, let's move it to, we are talking about mental states, all right? So now, so you want to talk about mental states, what it is, how should you define mental states? So we can think about it. So you can read more Abhidhamma book and think about it. What is mental states? Is it talking about only the Cetasika, or is it talking about Chitta, or what else? Okay. Now you all get the idea, right? How do you analyze the topic? Do you have idea now?
Saji, can I try Hong here?
Mm.
Mental states referring to the process of the cognizing the object. Is it correct?
Okay.
Can I try?
Process of cognizing the object. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then if you're talking about process here, then you can talk about witty process, right? You know the witty process? There's a mental process. It's a different chapter here. Beside the chapter 2 or chapter on Chitta, on Chitta, Chettasika, then you can talk about this. We call it the mental stream, right? Mental stream is also another big topic. But for you all, because you are a kindergarten, all right, so I would not expect you to write a lot, okay? Okay.
Sorry, Saji, the mental stream, the VT, does that refers to the Javanas one?
Yeah. The one that, what,
wow.
14, 17, the one that rhyme with the rupa.
You're
Okay.
very deep. Don't know yet.
That's why it's so deep, so baby. You can just kind of like we call it. You can just briefly mention, you know, because no need to go so detailed. It goes to there. I think your 10 pages is not enough for you. You need to give me
Yeah,
100 pages.
Oh.
Okay, 100
Assignment fee
pages.
is next year, is it? So,
Yes, no deadline. So if you feel next year is too short, you can give me 10 years later, provided I'm still alive.
we
check your
will
paper.
need you for a long time.
Strategy for me, the
Mm.
practice is more easier than writing paper. Paper so
Okay.
much to write.
No, because you are not familiar with writing, so that's why for you all, sorry to say, auntie. Oh, these are guideline for your auntie to write. So anyway, just try to basically minimally 3 pages first. Don't go too like. I think you are enthusiastic. You know, try to write too much. Write at least. Okay, now minimally I say try to write something 5 points only. Okay, 5 points. 5 points, is it difficult to get? No, right?
5 points. You ask me to do it in daily life, I can. But you ask me to put in the writing.
Okay.
Like small
So in this case,
put in the writing.
no, in this case, you just need to write. Of course, I mean, if difficult, you write on piece of paper first. You know, sometimes I think typing in computer is actually not good. You know, just write on piece of paper for your idea to flow first. Okay.
I do write because when I read through it, I do write. And after that, only I use the computer to type it out.
Okay. Yeah. You show me something, but I still want to see your own idea. Okay. Because you only show something that I can find a book. So that's why I say, if you are going to write something, make sure it's interesting. At the end, who's going to write? Somebody will want to write. Or maybe if you want to make it interesting, you go and draw something, draw on computer or draw a piece of paper, and then you paste it inside your what you're writing. Then it will be interesting. You know, cartoon or whatever. If you are good at cartoon, right or not? Okay. So how about other student? Other student, any question?
I think my writing will be more interesting, will be on the story side. You ask me to write on the other thing, I so.
Yeah, okay. Or you can write a story also. You can give your own idea. All right. Other students, do you have any things want to ask on this one? Today is just a short session, no? Because just to help the student in terms of writing. So anybody got anything to ask? If not, we just do a wrap up.
Sayuji, Paul here.
Okay, yes.
Normally, when you do this when you type it, what sort of font and size of the font that you normally recommend?
Sorry, when normally I cannot hear clearly.
The font,
Yes.
the font size.
Or font. Okay, okay. Font size. All right. So now my UC is following the Chicago format. Okay. So it's normally it's a Times Roman 12. All right. And then the special topic you put it as bold. So, but actually I don't like the Times Roman. I prefer the Arial. Okay. Arial is a very round one. It look actually smooth the writing. Okay, like now this Arial. Times Roman is not so nice. But whatever is up to you, as long as it's clear enough for me to read or for other people to read. Okay, now Brother Cole is good at analysis. All right, I should ask him. Now, in terms of mental states, Brother Cole, do you have any idea? What should you write here? What is mental states?
The mind state at the point at a certain point. The condition of the mind.
Okay, the condition of the mind at a certain point. Okay, good, good. So you are talking about certain point or certain time, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, yeah, you're talking about condition. All right. So what's the meaning of condition here? What's the meaning of condition?
So
is it the cause effect? Because if people thought condition, people thought it's cause effect. So what is condition? Is it the nature or situation?
Yes, because if you're writing it for a technical paper, then you can see it can be from a causal angle to enter. But if you are writing for a general audience, then you can see a general condition. That means it's a normal condition that normal people will understand. Also.
Normal condition, all right. Okay, so normal condition for we're talking about for normal people lah. If we're talking about like this, but in terms of Abhidhamma, so we need to be more specific. We are talking about nature of the mind, like good mind, bad mind, you know.
Wholesome and unwholesome.
Yeah, Abhidhamma. So Abhidhamma, how many minds you have? You have the wholesome mind, right? Unwholesome mind, and then the what is the next one? Neutral mind or functional? Yeah, functional mind. Then the resultant mind, you know, yeah. Okay, so you can think about it, yeah. So that's how we analyze the topic, all right? So because this is a topic of Abhidhamma, so you need to go not just on the, of course you can talk, we're talking about normal mind. If you can share your story, like we call it, the topic is talking about wholesome and unwholesome, right? So you're talking about wholesome mind. In things is when you pay respect to the Buddha, and then you do the dana and so on. Unwholesome minds means that you get angry, okay, get angry or jealous, you know, and so on, you know. So this is talking about normal things. So yeah, they say when you share the story, people will be interesting to read rather than just read like the text on the books. Okay. All right. So that's how we analyze the chapter, the assignment number 3. Because if you're going to write this assignment, basically you will need to read about chitta and chittasika and something on the viti. All right. So you just write 3 pages. So don't be too ambitious. I'm not asking you to write 10 pages. You're only kindergarten. Okay, no question. So I think that's all for today. I think because this is to encourage people to do the assignment. All right. So I don't expect you all to write a lot. So at least 3 pages first. Okay. So I have only 4 students sign up for this Abhidhamma. So the rest of, I think the students are either too busy or too scared to write something on Abhidhamma. But every time when you write something, first, actually this process is really force you to read. All right. So when you read, we call you get a sutta maya jnana. This means that you get the knowledge of listening. We call it acquired knowledge. I later I'll type down, okay? Then the second one is when you think about it, you got the Chinta Maya Jnana. The knowledge come from thinking, analytical knowledge, right? Then after that, when you practice meditation, you got Bhavana. So in the Tipitaka, we say about there are 3 types of knowledge which necessary even for you who are practicing. Okay, so I'm going to do some typing for you to see this. Okay. So ultimately, what is the purpose? Okay. So okay. So purpose for you is to get, okay, to get 3 kinds of knowledge. So this one, Sutta, Maya. Second one, Chinta, Maya. This one is a Bhavana, all right? So I put all the things first. Jnana. Finally, find a keyword that can do the typing. Yeah, with the end dot. Yeah, okay. Chitta Maya, and then the Bhavana. Okay, you know, in Pali you learn the Bhaveti. Bhaveti coming from this Bhavana coming from the Bhaveti. Right? So we call it knowledge. Sometimes we use it, they call it acquired knowledge. Acquired knowledge. Or sutta. The meaning of sutta means heard. Or you learn. The knowledge you get from hearing means that you hear, like now, you are hearing Abhidhamma, right? Chinta. Chinta, you know the Pali word chinteti. Chinteti, huh? Think. So we call it analysis, right? Or knowledge come from thinking, from thinking. So let's say you hear about Abhidhamma, about Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, you start to think about that. First, you must hear about Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. Then you must think about that. Then after that, you need to know. Then we call it knowledge. Comes from meditation, right? So that you want to do the number 3, but still you need to do the number 1 and number 2, all right? So you heard about Abhidhamma, you think about Abhidhamma, and you practice on Abhidhamma. All right?
Okay, I will try.
You try. 3 pages only. I'm not asking you to write 30 pages. All right? You all are kindergarten, so you write kindergarten Abhidhamma for me. Okay? All right. Okay. So we already share about, I think, 40 minutes is enough for you all to get started. So for those who have not done the writing, so I do encourage you all to try, because no deadline. This means that you can try now and finish next year, or you can try now and finish 10 years later. But hopefully you and me still alive lah, 10 years later. Okay.
Shaji,
Alright. Yes.
can I request just now all the presentation? Can you share with us? The writing.
Yeah, sure. I will share with you all. You know, sometimes things are coming impromptu, so I think it's more interesting. Because sometimes I share the notes with you all. I think sometimes I'm not so sure whether do you all read in advance, or maybe after you read, some of you who are very clever, after you read, you think you learn already, so you don't want to come to Zoom. So there's sometimes that's why I don't share all the time. Okay, so no question, we
Can
finish.
we write more than 3 pages? Because
Yeah.
it just flows lah. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. But you still, like I said, you need to divide it to the, because you see, I already feel that the topic number 1 is talking about the history. Because why? You need to know the history of Abhidhamma, right? And you need to know what is Abhidhamma, all right? And then the number 2 is, then I already passed to you 2 books, Abhidhamma and Daily Life, right? So you need to read about, of course, the books, I think one is easier to read, another one is a little bit difficult to read. But when you read Abhidhamma and Daily Life, the book, you get some idea how they analyze the Abhidhamma and how they use it in a more common terms rather than the technical terms. Okay. Then after that, now third chapter is talking about wholesome and unwholesome mind and mental states. Then you need to go very deeper on the chapter 1, chapter 2, that one. Yeah, this is actually, I don't know how you learn Abhidhamma. Well, when I learn Abhidhamma, of course, I think everybody do in the hard way. We get a very like comprehensive manual of Abhidhamma, a very thick Abhidhamma, and try to read very difficult book is really turn us off, you know. So it's not encouraging. So sometimes after that, after I get the comprehensive Abhidhamma, which I cannot read, I give up very fast. Then finally one day I get the handbook Abhidhamma in daily life. Then I started to read the Nina 1:1. Then I realized, oh, we can read Abhidhamma in a simple terms, in a simple English, rather than very technical with all the Pali and numbers. You know? So that's why your assignment should be step by step. You know, don't aim too much, because if for assignment 1 you write 10 pages, then assignment 3 you find that you only manage to write 1 pages, 1 page, you run out of battery already, right? So slow and steady, marathon, you know, because now I started you on this assignment is hopefully you all do some reading. By the time it comes to end of November, when we stop 1 month Pali class, maybe at that time I'm quite free. So I think by September I'm quite free already. Then we can do like maybe 1 week twice or whatever, you know. So all this reading is to get you into the mood. You need to get to the mood of Abhidhamma. By just listening to Abhidhamma 1 hour in the Zoom, it's not going to help you. You know, Abhidhamma is a knowledge that you need to read, then to think and practice it. Okay. All right. So if no question, then we'll stop here.
Raji,
Yes, Brother Ko. Yes.
yeah, this the way you share with us just now, is this technical way of what you call a technical way of what you call master degree students
Master degree.
writing it?
Yeah, the one that the one I show you, the knowledge I get is when I listen, when we are doing the master degree here, and then but actually this is a common for all the writing. So we call it research methodology. You know, how you gather the information, how you process it. It's same. You just get the information. We call it how we call it? We call it old data. You get the information from somebody, from the book and so on. Then you need to analyze it. You need to get new data, right? And that's mean that you put in your own idea. We call it become a new data. Then it's more interesting. But if you're going to use all the old data, you still at the very basic level of writing.
Because when I read the Abhidhamma, which is more like a text, is actually very technical and very dry.
Yeah.
Read because if you read, for example, you Silananda's book, because it's actually transcribed from his Dharma talks.
Yes.
So it's actually much easier to read.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the daily life, Abhidhamma in daily life, I think this is something like a storytelling. So not
Right.
not a technical
Actually,
subject.
Abhidhamma, the when you study, this means that later when we start the class, we will do the Patana. Patana is direct one of the last book of Abhidhamma, where you can see all the Pali words and how they think about at this point, like you say, how they see wholesome and unwholesome mind at that point, at that moment, you know. So actually, Abhidhamma is actually, if you want to sum up, it's very easy. It's talking about your mind and body at this point, at this moment. That's all, right? But why do you need to study all these numbers, all this? Because the Sai Putra have a great wisdom like the Buddha. So his mind managed to digest all the charts of all the Abhidhamma or all the we call it consciousness and so on. So if you're going to follow the Sai Putra, we will have problem because we don't have enough knowledge or wisdom to digest so much information. It's too much, you know. I think you all are study physics. I cannot remember. There are so many. How many? What uranium, protein, whatever. I cannot remember. Yeah. There are so many numbers. Yeah, there are so many numbers that so many physics numbers and physics things. But what we know about physics is, for example, in my place, I just need to know if I turn on the water comes. That's all, right? And if I use the pump machine, and if the pump machine not spoil, the water will go all the way to the top, and then from top it flow down, right? So I just need to know this. So if I turn on the light, as long as I got electricity, then the light is on. So if no electricity, now we have the solar installation thanks to the devotees. So nighttime, at least now the Zoom can be more convenient. Last night it's very hot and very dark, you know. So we need that kind of to know the knowledge in order to apply. So it's like we just need a little bit Abhidhamma to apply. But it's also good, since we are studying Abhidhamma, we study as much as we can. This really fulfill our perfection of wisdom, you know, because not everybody can teach the subject like Abhidhamma. You know, it's very difficult to have the opportunity for you all to learn Abhidhamma. Now, while our brain is still functioning, so after a few years, we have an aging problem, cannot memorize. So it's at the time, I think Pali and Abhidhamma also difficult to study. Okay, so now we got opportunity to study as much as you can. Okay. So Brother Ko, I think you are clever enough. So you should write at least one page, you know.
It's not that I don't want to write, but because the exam is coming, so I have to
after your exam.
Because you see, I have it next month, there's one, then August, another one, then December, I got two years and all.
Which exam?
Which
exam? Which exam are you taking?
The December one is level 1 and 2 Abhidhamma exam.
Oh, you're taking Abhidhamma also. From
Yes.
Sri Lanka or from where?
Myanmar.
Oh, Myanmar. Huh? Okay. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's okay. It's as long as you are taking the Abhidhamma from somebody, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Too much Abhidhamma also sometimes not good. You might be over exhausted also the mind. All right.
But it actually helped me a lot, because when I was studying Sutta, I find that my mind is not clear, so I do not know how to practice. But when I study Abhidhamma, it clears up a lot of uncertainty. Then now when I come back to Sutta today, I can understand better how to link up the Sutta with it.
Right. One advantage of learning Abhidhamma is it makes things crystal clear. For example, Sutanta, they will talk about a man, a king, a woman, or whatever, and then the Buddha say, let go, why you must let go. Then I think you heard some of the little monks say, let go. What is the meaning of letting go? You know, so Abhidhamma talking about letting go of greed, hatred, delusion, and then put the mind on a good state, wholesome state, and finally talking about Nibbana as a mental state. Nibbana is not mental, Nibbana is an object for the mind. Okay, so Abhidhamma gives you a very clear idea about Sutanta. It really helps a lot. Yeah. Okay. So no question, then we'll stop here.
Thank you.
Sorry, just last one.
Okay.
Okay, regarding the first assignment, on the introduction, because there are so many authors, like there are authors from 3rd century, there's Venerable Nanda, and then we have from 5th century. Is that not important? I just write it down based on the text.
Not important at your level, unless you want to do a history. No. If you don't want to do history, you just know that if you cannot remember the name, you just write the ancient commentator or ancient teacher, they give such and such an idea. It's right in a very general way, you know.
Okay.
Unless you want to do a history, like you see my paper, I talk about what 5th century, 6th century, that I need to put exact name that is on a historical aspect. All right. Okay. Because but if you love history, some people love history. They find it's interesting to know all these things, right?
Because history is just history, it's the past. So I found that all this is quite not so important because what is important is the present that we learn. So I just put very general, even like Buddha, Venerable Buddha, very general.
Sometimes when we are putting in very general, we use ancient teacher. Sometimes we use the word to very polite and give a credit to an ancient teacher or ancient elders. We use the word elders, or a respected teacher in the past, you know, something like that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. That's all. Okay. So if this is just ad hoc one. So if no problem, we will not. If no problem, we will not continue. If problem, we go continue.
Yeah.
All right.
So actually,
So
can we just,
maybe what we do, I think it's good to have this ad hoc. So maybe one of you do the submit your assignment. They will come in again and discuss on your assignment. I think this will also be interesting. Okay.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Bye bye. See you all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Sayajit, sorry, regarding your thesis, can we just give you a short feedback? I mean, for
Yeah.
those
Sure.
that,
Sure. Sure. No problem. No problem. Okay.
because I've gone through your just first review.
Okay.
Because you asked us to go through the just spelling errors and all that, but I think your construction of sentences are all there. Did you use the Grammarly? I mean, did you know that there's a Grammarly that you can use?
That one is I know, but it actually always tell us you must put a lot of comma, a lot of dot. It gives a lot of punctuation marks. It tells us. So I find it's actually disturbing. So I use the words a spelling checker. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the rest of it is okay. It's very good. Saiji, your thesis is like, wow, so deep.
Okay.
Cannot understand also some of it. But only the conclusion part, which I gave you the feedback, the conclusion part, certain points that maybe you need to reword. And then the Patrick Dunleavy is a he. If it's the correct, if it's the same person, it's a Patrick John Dunleavy.
Okay. We talk at the time now. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. See you next time. Okay. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, Sayaji.
Thank you, Sayaji.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Good night.
Thank you, Sahaji. Good night.
Chào tất cả không? My study student.